All right, let's get this last exercise done. It would be really nice to get this last one done. So, and this is bothering me. Got to figure out why that's colored so funny. There we go. We finished that one. And this is that. So, yeah, now we just go to the step delete all data. And when they're done, we say the elf, great work. Now I know you probably wanted to build that function yourself. Feel free to give it a try when we're not so crunched for time. Okay, but we've still got an issue, though, because I'm pretty sure I know what the issue is, but let's just double check here. 5.4 here. Okay, yeah. Our setup file is still doing that annoying dynamic import, and we have to be careful that we don't import anything that requires these environment variables set up. What? Copilot misspelled that. These environment variables set up. So let's change things a bit to make that nicer next. Okay. You know what? Some of this stuff, we've still got work to do. All right. Our app file still inline file. File is other to set up. Oh, rats. There we go. Good, good. Let's see, where's that dynamic import happening? Right on line 34. Okay, great. To do this, we'll create a new file called I want to copy that. That's annoying. All right, other setup. Setup envars. And set the environment variables in there. Then we can add the import for that to the top of our setup file, and we'll be golden, or able to import anything else after that without worrying about the environment variables. Yeah, not being set. All right, great. So that is what we do on that one. And then we say, great. Okay, that works nicely. Pretty simple solution to something that's been bugging me this whole time. There's another thing that's been bugging me this whole time, and it's the fact that if we had multiple tests running in parallel, they would mess with each other's test databases. So let's fix that next. Here, actually, let's not explain what the problem is. We'll just explain there's a problem in this scenario and let them think, what is that problem? Is that the fact that running multiple tests in parallel with our current setup is going to be an issue. Let's address that next. Oh yeah, let's also come over here. Right there. Boom, here's where we're at. All right, so we're gonna address that now. Come here and right now our test setup involves a hard-coded test database at, where is it at? Other test setup. Which is created and then deleted at the start and then deleted at the end with the data reset between each test. This could be a big problem for other tests that require the database that run in parallel and require the database. We need to make sure every test that's running has its own database. Call out info. When we're talking about, or when we say test in this context, we mean test files rather than test calls within a file. Test files run in separate processes with vtest, but each test call runs in the same process as other tests, test calls in that file, because JavaScript is single-threaded. Okay, and let's do class name aside. There we go. Okay, Stiller. Luckily for us, vtest exposes a special environment variable to to uniquely name our databases per test process, so we can generate a unique database name for each one. And actually, you know what? We have two problems that we're going to deal with here. I totally forgot to mention. Let's see. I think we talked about some of the problems. Nope, not in component one. Nope, that's the problem in the solution. Yeah, okay. We'll just, man, there was a place where I said, here are the problems that we want to address. I think it may be in the description of the exercise. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine. Okay. So we'll use that to create the database name to avoid these clashes. We also have another thing that's been annoying, and that is the fact that we are running the migration script before each test. This adds a lot of time on our test run. So instead, so we're also going to have a global setup file that handles initializing a template database, and we'll copy that one for each test, because copying a file is much faster. Oh, you know what? Another thing I should mention in here. Call out warn. You may be wondering why we don't just use an in-memory database. Unfortunately, Prisma does not support that feature. But that's actually okay, because it means we can inspect the database after the test is done if we need. Okay, and Prisma does not support this feature. Prisma in memory, yada yada yada. Here it is. Let's come back to where that is. That's, I think, right here. Yeah, call out warning. Okay, great. So, let's come here to this. So So in this exercise, we'll be doing quite a few things at once, but doing them separately would be even more confusing. Luckily, we've got emoji friends to help us out. You'll be creating 2 new files as well, so make sure to check the files button at the bottom of these instructions. Okay, great. All right, I think we're done. Oh, right, one last thing in here. Okay, there we go. We've finished. We have all the instructions. Okay, so with that all done, let's figure out why the heck this looks so funny. It's because it doesn't have a language. That's interesting. Oh well, I'm not too worried about that. That's fine. We'll just always make sure we have a language. Okay, yeah, let's go in each one of these. I think it would be useful to have a thing at the bottom that says the script you should run. Yeah. Okay. Script to run. Marty the Moneybag will help with this for this exercise. All right, cool. So that's that one. And this will also be the same. That, Okay, now we're on unit tests. So this will be test encryption. So if I go here and I say, whoops, where, oh man, I forgot the hotkey. There it is. So here's the script I run. I run that. And it doesn't work because I'm not on that exercise. We're on 0301. Yep. You're gonna get an error. What is this? Ooh, that's fun. Hey, copy output? Heck yeah. At HTML, jeez. What does that do? Here, I can paste it right in here. That's not HTML. As HTML, that's what I did. Nope, okay, whatever, that's fine, I don't care. Just kind of curious. Let's see, no numbers. Can't remember all the things. Let's see. Yeah. I really should document this at some point. That would maybe like even publish it as a public thing. Meta params. Here we go. Add room lines. No number. Yeah, that's what I did. No number. There we go. Okay. Yep. No number. No copy. And I wonder, can I do no language? Oh, that would probably be the CSS on this. That will be a different thing. Yeah. No lang. That's not going to do anything. What if I, yeah, KCD shop. Our app CSS, no cop, no. Not data, no lang. There we go. That'll do it. Let's just double check that easily. No, that was a mistake. Public build CSS assets. Okay, data lang. There we go. Not data no lang. That needs this. Okay, great. And then if I come in here, I might need to restart actually. Rats. Okay, well, let's just do this. Oh, whoops. Yeah, data, no lang. There we go. Sweet. Okay, I just did this wrong. Where am I? Whatever. That's right. Okay. Support no lang on code blocks. And with that, actually, we could probably say the padding below could be 1em. But we're not going to get that, are we? Oh yeah, padding bottom, boom. So yeah, if we go here and say no padding bottom for you, not data, no lang, boom. Yep, that looks awesome. Good. Okay, so continuing on then. And then component tests here. We're running a different one. This is in app utils. Here, let's actually get over there and make sure I can run it correctly and all that. Okay, so then we're like, yeah, npm run test. Heck with that, npm run test. Whatever, that's fine. It's shared basic info. See, if I don't do the basic info, it'll run both of the tests, and I want it to just focus. So that's why we're going to do it that way. Okay, great. We're going to, well, no, we can change that later if we want. Okay, so then for this one, we've got this. Okay, and then that goes there. Okay. There we go. We've got a notes in here. What do we need? Yeah, those are all gone. All done. We're done. This workshop's ready to go. Finish exercise 5. Okay, good stuff. Okay, and it's 5:06, so we're going to be done for the day. Let's see. Yeah, yep, I'm going to mark this as complete. And this thing is ready to roll. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to record setup instructions. Yep. Here, let's do this. Where are you? There you are. Okay. Oh, and I don't know if I even did that with this one. Yeah, the web thing, and we can get rid of that. That's fine. Okay, good stuff. So we're gonna close this. Close the, oh, you know what? I think that probably released by now. So, yep, it did. So let's open that up again. Do one last thing. npm update. Upgrade to latest. There we go. Okay, great. So now, well, we're about to find out if these things happen. So let's get Loom going. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Hello, I'm going to show you how to get the Testing Web Apps workshop set up on your machine so you can hit the ground running when we do our workshop in whenever we do it in the future. So first step is to come here and star the repo. That's not required. And then make sure that you have covered the prerequisites here and system requirements, have all of that those things installed. And then we have these setup instructions. So I'm going to copy this and open up my terminal and go to CD to desktop. And I'll bump this up so you can see it really nice and big. Then we'll paste that in there, and that's going to clone the repository and CD into there and then run the setup script. The setup script does a number of things. So it's executing these npx commands on some git gis, GitHub gis. That will do some system validation, make sure that you're using the proper versions of everything. And if it doesn't, let you know what versions are off. And then if that works, then it'll run the dependency installation. So you don't have to worry about, do I use yarn or pnpm or whatever. Just run the setup script and it will use the right thing. It's using npm here. And then once npm is finished installing, what we actually have here is npm workspaces. So we have the same application like 30 or 40 times for each one of these exercises, just with minimal changes from one to the next for each exercise. And so we're using NPM workspaces, so we don't have to install like 60 copies of Remix and whatever, and like 60 copies of Faker and all of that stuff. So once the installation is complete, then it runs custom setup for this specific workshop, which involves copying some environment variable files, generating a Prisma client. We're using Prisma as the database client, setting up the database, seeding the database with some data. And once that is finished, then it installs Playwright. We're going to be using Playwright for the tests here. And it also, and that requires some browsers to be installed. And then we're also going to set up the problem app, which is a special application that we're going to be running. And I'm going to need to re-record this because, as is noted, the setting up the problem app does, never exits. Bummer. Okay, so we're going to stop this. How do I delete? There we go. Cancel recording. Don't need that. Okay, so let's come back here. Testing web apps. There we go. We'll try this again. Let's figure out what's going on. Testing web apps. So in my setup custom, down here where we have the slide, I think we don't need 2 spaces for that. I noticed. And here, let's see if OneMin had some suggestions of what the possible problem could be. Exercise app. Oh, right, that's this thing, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully we get that fixed. Okay, so that one we aren't doing anything about just yet. And then process exit. So we shouldn't have to have the process exit because it should exit naturally. So that is the problem. Oh, I know what's going on. When we call set playground, that does some interesting things. As part of that, I think just importing this starts the watcher and stuff. Okay, let's see. Shop. I don't want to do process exit. I want to properly close everything. It just seems like the more correct thing to do. So it's the watcher that needs to be closed down, I think. Change tracker. Here's our watcher. Build, utils, tracker, change tracker. Let's try that. Just going to comment out a bunch of stuff. Man, this is having trouble. And that does stop. We didn't get any logs though. Okay, so yeah, that's setting up the problem map. Not sure why we're not getting. Why aren't we getting these logs? Aha. No. There it is. There we go. Got it. Okay, great. So that is the solution. Why is this? Oh, right. Uh-huh. So then I come here and I comment this all back in. I'm supposed to be on break. Whoops. Break's almost over, I'll bet. Okay, we're going to run this and then go on break. See you in 5 minutes. All right. Whoops, I forgot. I knew I was going to forget to do this. I turned off my camera and my light because I hadn't turned my camera off in a few hours. I was like, I'll just turn it off real quick. So that space actually was necessary, so let's get that space back. It's weird. I never know. Yeah, what a mess, this spacing of emoji. But yeah, that all looks fine. So yeah, we're good. Commit, fix, seed, script, closes, number, this one, 2. Okay, great. Now we can try this again. Okay, Loom. Hello and welcome to Testing Web Apps. I'm going to show you how to set up the workshop repo on your machine so that you can hit the ground running when we start, because I don't take any time to debug things. So we need you to have this all set up so that we can get this all ready to go. I will mention also that I very often make last minute changes to some of the content and stuff, like the night before and even sometimes the morning of the workshop. And so while it is important that you make sure that you can get this set up, you may need to set it up again right before the workshop. But the important thing is that you know that it works on your machine, so that getting it set up again is no big deal. So with all of that said, here's what you're going to do. You'll come to the repo, and the first thing you'll do is click the star icon. No, just kidding. You don't have to do that, but you could. And then you go to the CISA requirements and prerequisites, make sure you're all set with both of those, and then come down here to the setup instructions. You'll copy this and go to your terminal, and I'll bump this up a bunch. We'll CD into our desktop and then paste this in. And what this is going to do is it will clone the testing web apps repository and then CD into the directory that it just cloned it into, and then run the setup script. What the setup script does is it first does some system validation. So it actually runs npx against a gist that I have that does some system validation. Then it does dependency installation. So you don't need to worry about, like, do I have the right versions and stuff? It will tell you if you have the wrong version. And you don't need to worry about if you've got a like whether you should use pnpm or npm or yarn or bun or whatever. You just run the setup script and it will install things for you in the way that it's expected to for this workshop. Here we're using npm and we're using npm workspaces because the application itself has a bunch of different copies of the application. So each one of these folders is an entire remix application with slight alterations each time for every exercise. So we've got a ton of these different exercises. There's a lot. So because for that reason, we have something like 30 to 50, I don't know, of these applications, copies of this application. And so we don't want to have like 30 copies of Remix in your node modules. And so we use npm workspaces to get it all installed in one spot. So once the installation is finished, then we do the custom setup. This is going to do a bunch of things to get your system set up to work. One of them is to create the Prisma client and initialize the database with some fake data and things like that. And also it installs Playwright. If you've never installed Playwright browsers before, you may be required to enter a password. If you're on Windows, you may have to start your command line with admin privileges so that it can do this. So just keep that in mind. And then it does this thing called setting the problem map, which I will demonstrate for you here in a little bit. So once that's all done, it'll say the workshop setup is complete and we're ready to go. So I'm going to open this up in Code, which is my editor of choice, but you should be able to use any editor you prefer. I do recommend VS Code because I think it is phenomenal, but feel free to use WebStorm or whatever, Notepad or whatever else you want to. So inside of here, we've got the README that has all of those instructions we had on GitHub. And the most important piece here is the start script. So run npm start, and that will get our application up and running on port 5639. That is Kodi in T9 language. Cody is our koala friend that goes through, helps us through all of these exercises and things. So here we are testing web apps. Our first exercise is end-to-end test. And here are some instructions that we'll read through. You don't need to actually work through all this stuff. I just do want you to have it, get it up and running and at least get as far as I'm going to show you here. So click on Start Learning and we'll be on the first exercise in the first step of that exercise on the problem step. So there's a problem and solution step. Here we'll see we have the playground and we are linked to this playground. So when we click Start App, we're going to be starting the playground app. That is represented by this first exercise. So here we can navigate around, we can do all sorts of things to play around with all of this stuff. The entire app is not actually in our repo here. We're actually planning on building out the rest of this eventually. It has enough of what we need for what we're building. So we'll be doing a little bit with the login, we'll be doing a bit with the user profiles and stuff like that. So with all of that said, we also have the problem tab. This is the problem directory. You won't be actually using this very often at all, if at all. And the solution, this is the version of the app that is the solution. In particular for our testing workshop, this also won't be very relevant because the application, we're not actually changing any application code, we're just changing the test code. Finally, we have the diff, and the diff is going to show you the difference between the playground and the solution for this exercise. So spoiler alert, but here's the solution. So you don't want to go here very often. You may want to jump in here if you get totally stuck and take a look at your work in progress versus the finished solution and be like, oh, I forgot on a wait or something like that. That might help you get unstuck. I don't want you to be stuck. The difficulties are good and important, but we don't want the wrong kind of difficulties, and being stuck is the wrong kind of difficulty. So here we've got instructions, we've got scripts that we can run, so I can just copy this, come over here, open up a new terminal, and run that script, npm run test e2e. This will run our end-to-end tests in the playground. And here we have the Playwright UI, and we'll talk all about that as part of the workshop. So we can close that. And if you have all of this this piece working, then you should feel pretty good about yourself. But I want to show you one other thing about this app that's important, and that is, or two other things. First, we have this files down here. You're going to be using this on every exercise. This will tell you which files are changed, and by clicking on this, this will actually create that file in our playground. And so you have a good starting place, and you always know where you're supposed to be. So you'll be spending all of your time inside of this playground directory. You won't really need to go into the exercises directory. You'll just be working in playground. So that will help you know exactly where you're supposed to go for each one of these. If you see one of these, then that will take you to that page by clicking on that. Except that appears to be sort of broken, so I'll fix that later. But yeah, so these are links that will take you to places in the application that you have running on the right. And then when you see this icon, this is a link that will take you to that file in the playground in your editor. And so also there will be sometimes links to other files that you're not actually working in, but might be interesting for you to take a look at. So the last thing that I want to talk about, or one of the last things, there will be a couple other things, is as you progress through everything that we're doing here, you'll see here now we're on the solution step. There will be some more bits of thought to share here. But as we move on to the next step, you'll see things change a little bit in the UI, where we get this new set to playground thing, this obnoxious little pulsing thing, and even in the files UI, we have this little bit that says set to playground. What that means is that every single exercise that we go through in this workshop is going to slowly add or change or modify some of the files in the application. And you can, if you want to, just continue to build off of what you did before, but there could be a couple of changes that are kind of important that you don't want to miss. And so what clicking at any one of these will do is it actually basically deletes everything that you did and copies everything from the exercise for this particular exercise. So when that's all finished, all of the files in the playground will have the changes that you're supposed to have. And so now if we go to our index.js, we're going to see, oh, Cody the koala is in there now. So it's a good idea anytime you see this little chain that's broken that you click on it, and that will update the playground to be where you're supposed to be for this particular exercise. And it normally only takes a second or two to get the playground updated. Now, if you get stuck and you're in a bad spot or something and you want to reset, you can always click on this again and it will do that process again, overriding any changes that you made to the playground and make sure that you're on this step of the playground. Now, once we finish each one of these exercises, then we'll get to this page where you can submit your feedback. I welcome your feedback. I really appreciate it. It will all feed into this workshop to make it better so that when I record it and put it on EpicWeb.dev, it will be the best that it possibly can be. So with that, that's just a nice thing you can do for me. But the really important part here is this elaborate on what you learned step, which is really critical for you to make the most of your learning experience by writing down the things that you have learned. That is what's going to solidify in your mind the things that you've learned. So feel free to write that down somewhere else if you want to. Filling this out will actually send an email to yourself so that you can have these notes if you want to use this as kind of a note-taking thing. Yeah, that is what that is, and then we'll proceed on to the next exercise. So I'll talk a little bit more about the actual logistics of how we run through all of these exercises, but those are the important things that you need to keep in mind when you're working through this workshop, and some instructions on how to get things set up. So definitely give it a try, get things set up, make sure that it's possible to get set up on your machine. If you run into some sort of problem as part of the setup process, then please go to the issues, make a new issue, and tell me what problem you're having, and we'll see if we can figure that out. Thank you all so very much, and I look forward to going through this workshop with you. Bye. Okay, great. So with that now, let's see. I want to just update the instructions in the calendar event, and I'm not going to show you that calendar event because it has people's emails, and that would be rude. I'm not going to show you people's emails without their permission. So I'm going to, stop the live stream, and then I'll do that. So thanks everybody for joining. I'm thrilled that this workshop is ready a full week in advance. If you do want to join, then go to kensiedodds.com, go to workshops, and we do still have 13 tickets available. So you can join us in a week and a half. Or actually, that's like 8 days away, I think. Yeah, pretty soon. It's a week in like 2 days. Or you can come in person to RemixConf. And that, I think we still have, we're over half sold out on that one. But yeah, still plenty of tickets for the in-person one as well. So looking forward to seeing folks there, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.